The Nintendo NX on Mike's Minute. So like the title said, this is solely thoughts on what I believe the Nintendo NX is gonna be. Not to say that they're gonna go this route, but these are just my thoughts on what makes sense from what it was already leaked. So they've leaked saying that, or they put a patent out saying that there's not going to be a proprietary CD drive or Blu-ray drive. Not to say that there's not going to be one as an add-on. Proprietary means it's not going to be built in. So it wouldn't surprise me if they made this box no bigger than an Android box and have another style of media that it's going to play off of. So if they have something the size of an Android box, they can easily add a Blu-ray player underneath it. Obviously the price of a Blu-ray player to add it onto it, it's not, it doesn't make that much sense because you're gonna be charging people for this and the Blu-ray player. But they may have two versions, two different SKUs, one with, one without. Everybody has a Blu-ray player anyways, but these are just an idea. So if this thing is no bigger than an Android box, and it's gonna have the same kind of hardware inside that maybe the Wii U has, or maybe even an Xbox has, with gigs of RAM and all the bells and whistles, and it's gonna have, I believe, its own a whole streaming service. It's gonna have its Nintendo Store and all that, where you can download, rip, play whatever off of Nintendo Store. I believe that you're going to be able to surf the internet with it. I believe you're going to be able to use a Wii Motion Plus as a remote and as a controller. So, or even a tablet. You might be even using tablets. It would make sense to me if they're going to be using tablets to already use the ones that are already out there in the wild, not necessarily make your own like they did with the Wii U. Everybody has an Apple iPad or an Android pad device or whatever, Galaxy, or even iPhones, where you can mirror what your content is onto the NX and the NX onto your TV. So if this thing is going to be underneath your TV, this NX is going to be underneath your TV, doesn't it make sense that the media that it's going to be used is going to be small too? Now, when I say small, Nintendo's been revolutionary in every sense of the word. They've revolutionized the D-pad on controllers with the NES. They've made its first thumbstick on the N64. They've used Motion Pluses on the Wii. They've used the tablets for the Wii U. They've done 3D capabilities on the 3DS. So if they've done all this and they haven't looked back when they've done any of this, they've always looked forward. What can they do next? So I believe what they're going to do next is they're going to make people cut the cord of your cable box and your media devices, and they're going to make you use that as your central hub. And doesn't it make sense that that's going to happen? Everybody's doing it now anyways. So the next set of media I think that Nintendo's going to use, because they're not going to have a Blu-ray player, or they don't have a proprietary Blu-ray player from what they're saying on the patent, is they may go back to this, the cartridge. So Pat the NES Punk said in a podcast that the cartridges are very expensive. Obviously, we knew that already. Cartridges cost maybe $15 to make a cartridge versus 30 cents to make a Blu-ray. You can mass produce the master copy of a Blu-ray and mass produce it and make thousands in seconds. Whereas a cartridge, you have to, make the casings, the moldings, you have to, make the chipsets, you have to get probably somebody to screw the stuff in, tighten it up, and send it out. And if there was a mistake on the chipset or whatever, they have a recall on these chipsets. That's going to cost a lot, obviously. So, whereas, the Blu-ray players, they can be updated. If there's an issue with the game, they'll update it through your hard drive on the system, and they'll fix the game as it goes. We've seen it with so many games like Destiny and Assassin's Creed Unity. So the games can be updated and fixed basically on the fly. So the reason why I say it's going to be this is because these things can be produced for maybe at $2. They don't cost very much. Nintendo already probably has a plant that makes this, realistically. They mass produce these like crazy. And these things, well, SD cards, I'm not sure how much this can hold, but SD cards in general can hold up to 128 gigs. The latest SD cards can hold up to 128 gigs of data or information on it. Now, if this holds, let's say, 10 gigs, you're telling me that they can't take the SD or the memory out of an SD card that holds 128 gigs and replace it with this and make it bigger? So this thing is going to go into your NeXt. It's going to be able to be ripped off the cartridge, and you probably won't need it anymore. Well, who's to say you're going to keep it in or whatever. So it's going to be like the Retron 5, where you can rip the ROM right off the system. You play it, you can do whatever. If there's updates to it, it'll update it whenever it needs to be. It can be, you could use your streaming services with Netflix, Hulu, YouTube. The list goes on with the streaming services. You could be, everybody right now is already on board with this downloading and streaming and ripping and you know, pirating. You know, it's a terrible word, that word pirating, but I think Nintendo's gonna make it more of Nintendo's gonna make it a home-friendly version of pirating and profit so much off of this. Like I said, if they're making this thing small and they're not making much more out of it, if they use the Wii Motion Plus as a remote, they're not going to be, the cost of it's not going to be much. So if they have to go with the cartridge-based way of going, they you know what they lose on one, they'll gain on another. And people are already going with this Android box and Apple TVs anyways. So wouldn't it make sense that Nintendo is already, you know, gonna follow suit? They've done it all from the very beginning. So you know, everybody was you know, saying that Microsoft was crazy and saying that streaming wasn't the future. Nobody's ready for streaming. And months later, everybody's cutting the cord. Everybody's using Netflix. Everybody's you know, downloading and ripping stuff. Not to say they weren't doing it before already, but Microsoft said it, and they want to make, you know, the Xbox One your central hub for all media. So Nintendo's following. I would think Nintendo's going to follow suit and just up it a little bit more and make it where SD cards are going to be, you know, the future of gaming. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and please like, comment, subscribe, guys. Thanks.